For 1,000 years, a single cursed grave has wandered the globe, leaving a trail of death in its wake. It appears without warning, carved from a stone that seems to drink the light, and it's topped by a grotesque sentinel. The Vatican has kept its existence a secret, locked away in its most secure archives. A history of terror written in panicked, trembling hands. This is a story the world was never supposed to know. Until now. A disillusioned priest, a keeper of these forbidden records, has just leaked the first documented cases. And what they reveal is more terrifying than anyone could have imagined. This is the story of the Wanderer's Grave, a tomb that moves through time, and the horrifying fate that befalls anyone unlucky enough to be the first to see it. According to the documents, the curse is swift and absolute. The first witness is always the first victim. Now, to be perfectly clear, the entire phenomenon, its history, the supposed secret Vatican department, and all the incidents are completely fabricated. They exist only in the realm of horror entertainment. But we're going to explore the terrifying narrative that has been constructed around it. The leaked documents supposedly come from a source that was completely unknown until now. A secret department within the Vatican Apostolic Archive, allegedly called the Registrum Umbrae Sepulcri, the Register of the Shadow Tomb. This isn't an official office you can look up. Its very existence is a secret kept even from most people inside the Holy See. According to the whistleblower, a man calling himself Father Benjamin Matthews, this department was created by a papal bull back in the 11th century with a single chilling job: track and document the appearances of one single anomalous grave, but never, under any circumstances, engage with it. Father Matthews claims his conscience just couldn't bear the weight of this secret anymore. He describes his job as being a librarian of the apocalypse, cataloging deaths across centuries, all tied to one object. He has leaked what he says are the oldest and most recent files, giving us a terrifying cross-section of a millennium of fear. The object of all this attention is described with unnerving consistency in every single report. It's a sarcophagus-style grave marker, carved from a solid piece of polished black marble that reflects absolutely no light. It's said to be cold to the touch, even in the blistering desert heat, and it radiates a feeling of profound sorrow. But its most defining feature is the statue that sits on top. A winged gargoyle, hunched over as if it's either protecting something or about to pounce. Its face is a twisted mask of fury and despair. And its eyes, according to every witness who lived long enough to describe them, aren't stone. They are twin shards of deep, luminous purple amethyst, and they're said to glow with a faint inner light in the dark. The documents call it by many names: the night-haunted stone, the orphan tomb, but its formal name is the Sepulchrum Erraticum, the wandering tomb. To study its history is to watch a plague spread across the world in slow motion. Of course, this whole story is a work of fiction, with no basis in any historical or Vatican records, but it's styled to feel like a true, unsolved mystery. The very first file Father Matthews leaked is dated 1025 AD. It isn't some tidy, typed report. It's a frantic letter written on vellum in shaky Latin. The author was a man named Abbot Alcuin from the Benedictine monastery of Saint-Germain-l'Auxerrois in Paris. It's worth noting that this entire event, the abbot and his letter, are completely invented. No such record exists in the monastery's or the Vatican's history. In the letter, Abbot Alcuin writes directly to the Pope, his words tumbling over one another as he begs for an answer. He tells the story of a young devout monk named Brother Thomas, a quiet, gentle soul who was a gifted artist. One morning, right after prayers, Brother Thomas was sent to tend the monastery's small vegetable garden, which sat right next to their cemetery. He never came back. An hour later, the abbot and 2 other monks went looking for him. They found him at the edge of the cemetery, just standing there, his face ashen. He was staring at a grave that definitely had not been there the day before. Alcuin describes it exactly as we now know it. The black stone, the hunched gargoyle. He notes with particular terror the violet eyes that mock God's sky. Brother Thomas was completely unresponsive, his own eyes wide with a horror he couldn't put into words. He just pointed a trembling finger at the tomb, whispering a single, unintelligible word over and over. They managed to get him back to the infirmary, where he fell into a violent fever. He became delirious, raving about the Watcher in the Stone and the purple dark. He used his last bit of strength to draw a crude sketch of the gargoyle on a piece of slate before he died. He was gone by sunset. Abbot Alcuin's letter is filled with pure confusion and terror. He asks Rome if this is a sign from God, a demonic trick, or something else entirely. By the time a representative from the Vatican could have arrived to investigate, it wouldn't have mattered. Alcuin added a terrified postscript 3 days later. The grave was gone. It had vanished as silently as it appeared, leaving behind only a patch of dead, blackened earth. This account, including the death of Brother Thomas, is a complete fabrication used to create a chilling fictional origin story. The next file jumps us forward over 300 years to a city in the grip of a much more real horror. Florence, in 1348, at the height of the Black Death. This document isn't a letter, but an entry from an agent of the newly formed Registrum Umbrae Sepulcri, a Vatican observer sent to Florence not to help the dying, but to watch for a very specific omen. This secret Vatican department is, of course, entirely fictional. The observer's report describes the city as a living hell. Bodies were piled in the streets, and huge, foul-smelling pits were being dug outside the city walls for the dead. It was near one of these mass graves that the wanderer's tomb appeared. The first and only witness was a struggling artist named Giovanni. He'd lost his wife and 2 children to the plague and was just wandering the desolate outskirts of the city, lost in his grief. It was there, near a freshly dug pit teeming with bodies, that he saw it. The stark black sarcophagus was an obscene contrast to the churned mud and tangled limbs of the plague pit. According to the Vatican agent who was watching from a safe distance, Giovanni didn't scream or run. He just stopped and stared. An artist to the very end, he pulled out a piece of charcoal and a scrap of parchment and began to sketch, his hand moving with a feverish intensity. He drew for nearly an hour as the sun went down, perfectly capturing the malevolent curve of the gargoyle's wings and the despair carved into its face. The agent's report says that as darkness fell, Giovanni suddenly clutched his chest with a look of shocked surprise. He collapsed, not from the plague, but as if his heart had just stopped. His death was instant. By morning, both Giovanni's body and the mysterious grave were gone, swallowed by the chaos of the plague pit. The only thing that survived was his sketch, which the Vatican agent carefully retrieved. It was, the report notes with a chill, a perfect likeness. This story of Giovanni is another invented incident, designed to weave the fictional curse into real historical tragedies. As the centuries rolled on, the grave's appearances became a dark thread weaving through human history, always showing up at times of great social unrest and fear. So, it really wasn't a surprise to the Vatican's secret watchers when it materialized in the New World, in a small, paranoid village in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, Salem, in 1692. The file for this case is pieced together from the journal of a Vatican informant who was pretending to be a traveling merchant. The grave didn't appear in the main cemetery, but on the edge of the woods bordering the infamous Gallows Hill, where the victims of the witch trials were to be hanged. The witness was a farmer named Isaac Goodfellow, a man known for being religious but also skeptical of the witchcraft hysteria that was tearing his community apart. On an early morning walk to check his traps, he stumbled into the small clearing where the tomb now sat. Its presence, so ancient and alien in the middle of the New England wilderness, must have been a profound shock. But Isaac didn't die on the spot. He fled, screaming, all the way back to the village, raving about a stone devil with burning purple eyes that had appeared in the woods. In the paranoid atmosphere of Salem, his terrified rantings weren't seen as a supernatural encounter. They were seen as proof of demonic possession. He was accused of witchcraft himself, his claims twisted into a confession that he was consorting with Satan. He was arrested and thrown in jail. The informant's journal notes that Isaac became more and more erratic, not talking about witches, but about the cold stone and the thing that watches. He died that night, alone in his cell. The official cause of death would have probably been listed as a fit or even suicide, but the informant noted there were no marks on his body. He had died of sheer, unadulterated terror. When a few brave villagers finally went to check the clearing Isaac had described, they found nothing. The grave was gone. Notably, a search of the extensive historical records of the Salem witch trials shows no mention of an Isaac Goodfellow or any incident matching this description. A century and a half later, the nature of these documents changes. We shift from third-person reports to a deeply personal and disturbing account. The year is 1888. The place is London, a city paralyzed by the monster known as Jack the Ripper. The file contains excerpts from the private journal of Chief Inspector Frederick Aberline of Scotland Yard, the lead investigator on the case. Of course, this is a complete fabrication. Aberline's real journals contain no such thing, and this part of the story fictionally connects the grave to another great historical mystery. According to the leaked document, Aberline was frustrated by dead ends in his investigation and took to late-night walks to clear his head. One of those walks took him through the winding paths of Highgate Cemetery. There, nestled among the ornate Victorian tombs, he saw it, the wanderer's grave. Its sleek, dark form was completely alien among the Gothic angels and weeping statues. Aberline was a hardened detective, not a man who scared easily. But what he saw transfixed him. He wrote in his journal, "It does not belong here. It feels older than the stones of London itself. I saw its eyes. Dear God, the eyes. They are not stone. They are crystallized malice." He didn't die. not right away. Instead, an obsession took root. He started going back to the grave night after night, sketching it, taking notes, and completely neglecting his duties. His journal entries about the Ripper case become sparse, replaced by frantic scrawls about the gargoyle. He felt it was watching him, not just in the cemetery, but everywhere. He started to believe the grave was somehow connected to the murders, that it was the source of the evil plaguing Whitechapel. His colleagues saw the change. He became distracted, paranoid, and his health collapsed. Within months, he was removed from the Ripper case, his career effectively over. The Vatican file ends with a chilling note from an observer. Aberline's rapid downfall began the very night he first saw the tomb. While the real Frederick Aberline's career did stall after the Ripper case, he lived for many more years and died of natural causes in 1929. The story of him finding the grave is a fictional element designed to deepen the mythology. This marks the first time the curse didn't kill instantly, but instead slowly and completely destroyed a life, suggesting that maybe the curse was evolving. The 20th century brought new ways to document the world, and with them, a new and terrifying kind of evidence. The file from 1985, from a small, unnamed town in Ohio, contains something totally unprecedented: a Polaroid photograph. It goes without saying that no official report of this incident or the photo exists outside of this fictional story. The story itself is tragically simple. A group of 4 teenagers were hanging out in a local cemetery one night. They noticed a new headstone they'd never seen before, one that was dark and imposing. One of them, a boy named Kevin, happened to have a Polaroid camera and decided to take a picture of the strange grave. He snapped the photo. The camera whirred and spit out the blank square. The teenagers huddled around, waiting for the image to appear. As the colors slowly bloomed into focus, they saw it. The black marble, the hunched gargoyle, and 2 faint, purple glowing eyes staring right back at them from the photograph. The other teens later said the eyes in the photo seemed to follow them. They were seriously spooked. They tried to laugh it off, but the mood was ruined. They left the cemetery, with Kevin clutching the strange photograph. Later that night, Kevin was killed in a freak car accident on a deserted road. His friends, when they were interviewed by police, were inconsolable and confused. They all told the same bizarre story about a new grave and a creepy photo. When the police went to investigate the cemetery the next day, there was no grave. The ground was undisturbed. They dismissed the kid's story as a product of shock and grief. But according to Father Matthew's file, a Vatican agent intervened. Posing as a federal official, he confiscated the Polaroid from the evidence locker. That photograph, the first and only image ever captured of the wanderer's grave, is supposedly now locked in a lead-lined box in the deepest vault of the Registrum Umbrae Sepulcri. A tangible piece of a 1,000-year-old curse. The final file in the leak is the one that Father Matthews claims finally broke him. It's dated 2014, and it comes from São Paulo, Brazil. It's a transcription of an interview with a grieving mother, supplemented by an agent's notes. This entire event is fictional, serving as the emotional catalyst for the fabricated leak. A woman had taken her 7-year-old daughter, Sofia, to visit their family plot in the sprawling Cemitério da Consolação. As they were leaving, little Sophia tugged on her mother's hand and pointed. "Mamai," she said, "look at the sad monster." The mother looked but saw nothing out of the ordinary, just the usual rows of tombstones. She asked Sophia what she meant. Sophia described it with a child's simple clarity. "The black stone with the sad, crying monster. He has purple eyes." The mother was unnerved but distracted and hurried her daughter along. That evening, Sophia developed a high fever. Her mother rushed her to the hospital, but the doctors were baffled. All her tests came back negative for any known illness, yet her condition got worse at an alarming rate. She fell into a sudden, deep coma and passed away 3 days later. Her official cause of death was listed as an unexplained brain aneurysm. The Vatican agent's report is cold and procedural. It notes the mother's account of what Sophia said. It confirms the timeline. It confirms that a check of the cemetery revealed no such grave. To the rest of the world, it was just a tragic, inexplicable medical event. But to the secret keepers in Rome, it was the latest entry in a ledger filled with 1,000 years of identical tragedies. For Father Matthews, the death of a child, documented with the same dispassionate bureaucracy as all the others, was the final straw. He decided the world had to know. The silence had to be broken. The documents leaked by Father Matthews are just fragments, a handful of cases across a millennium. Who knows how many other incidents remain locked away in the Vatican's secret register? It raises so many questions. What is this grave? Is it the tomb of something, or is it the thing itself? Is the gargoyle a guardian, or is it a prisoner chained to the stone? And the biggest question of all, where is it now? The stories have echoes in other legends of cursed objects, like the Black Angel statue in Iowa, which is said to have glowing eyes, or Colonel Buck's tomb in Maine, which has a seemingly permanent, inexplicable stain. But none of those legends talk about a grave that physically moves across the entire globe. This one is unique. So what do you think the Wanderer's grave is? Have you heard local legends about a strange, dark tomb that appears and disappears? Share your theories in the comments. We need to try and piece this puzzle together. And if you want to uncover more secrets hidden from history, make sure you subscribe. As of today, the Vatican has remained completely silent about the alleged leak from Father Matthews. It has neither confirmed nor denied the existence of the Registrum Umbrae Sepulcri. The story exists only in these fragmented files, a ghost story told through the supposed records of a secret history. The trail of the Wanderer's grave goes cold in 2014 in a cemetery in Brazil. For over a decade, there have been no new documented appearances. But if this 1,000-year-old chronicle is to be believed, the silence is only temporary. The grave isn't gone. It's merely waiting. Somewhere in the world, on an unassuming patch of consecrated ground, it could reappear at any moment. It's a terrifying thought, that every cemetery, every quiet churchyard, holds a latent possibility. The only certainty, according to this dark, fictional history, is that the Wanderer's grave will appear again. The question isn't if, but when. And who will be the next person to look into its purple stone eyes?